Zeke always looking to eat, but is his massive salary still tenable for the Dallas Cowboys? What's the plan with New Orleans and Michael Thomas? Right now on NFL.com/Freeland, Cynthia Freeland spotlights 8 NFC players who could be due for a restructure or outright release. Right now, we're joined by our multimedia star for the television version of this article, Cynthia Freeland here. Cynthia, let's start with a name that could be potentially in danger of getting outright released.
Well, let's just start with Zaviar Smith here, who has a lot of value, but at 13.2% of this Green Bay Packers salary cap situation with almost $24 million due to him, this could be an interesting one. Yes, there's value. He's a 2.7 sack rate since 2019. That is very good. It ranks in the top 10 in the NFL over that time. But remember, this past season, he played week 1 and then not again till the playoffs. And there's a whole new situation of what could potentially happen. I don't know if anyone's been talking about it, but I mean, there's that other side of the ball, that guy, he's pretty expensive. I don't really know what goes on there, but this could be one where the opportunity to use this as a way to create more space could be smart.
Yeah, certainly a couple of big names on the offensive side of the ball, but the Packers have a lot of stars now on defense, too. Speaking of stars, the Dallas Cowboys are loaded. Tony Pollard emerged this season as a capable handler of the backfield full time. So what does that mean for Ezekiel Elliott?
Well, what it means is that they should probably look to restructure. I mean, this deal is super player favorable. It's about $30 million in dead cap, so he's not going to get cut. He's not. I mean, look, we cut that beautiful highlight for a reason. It's awesome. And he's going to be on the team. But if they restructured, he is the 4th highest paid guy on this team this season. He's also, I don't know, the most highest paid in terms of guaranteed money for any running back in the NFL. I know all analytics people say don't overpay your running back. But here's the actual prime case of why you shouldn't. His negative 25 rush yards over expected means he's actually underperforming the expectations, even given his line. So when I look to see what's going to happen here, if they were smart, they would look for some space, create it with Ezekiel Elliott, create something that matches the output that they're intending, and then everyone move on so they can add value to their entire team, not just the one position.
Yeah, Ezekiel Elliott, I think, gained a lot of credibility, even more so in the locker room for playing through those injuries he had last year, but he did have career lows in yards per game and carries. Meanwhile, when you look at the Saints, they say they have no plans on trading Michael Thomas. What do you think about him and his big salary?
Well, the Saints have about $80 million that they need to figure out. And remember, there's $208 million for the cap, so they're almost 50% over, which that's probably a big consideration. Let's put it that way. But when I look at Michael Thomas, if they restructure this deal, he's almost $23 million due this season long. Then they could potentially deal him. At this cap hit right now, they're not going to be able to trade him, even if he wants to. I don't know what's going on there from a personnel standpoint, and there's egos. I don't know anything about that. But I do know that from a monetary standpoint, he's only played 7 games in 2 seasons, none in 2021. Yes, he set a record in 2019. He got a good contract from that, but he hasn't delivered on that. So maybe restructure the situation and then potentially look for another team who has more cap space.
Yeah, certainly has been a best friend to Drew Brees over the years. Whoever's playing quarterback next year for the Saints would likely be a lot better with Michael Thomas. Meanwhile, in Minnesota, Eric Kendricks is a big salary to deal with for the Vikings. How do you think they go about handling it?
Yeah, well, he's the 8th highest rated off-ball linebacker in terms of salary. And he is awesome. Let me be clear. I really like Eric Kendricks as a player. He played 78% of snaps last year. He had 5 sacks, a career high, over 40 pressures, over 350 stops, one of just 4 linebackers to achieve that mark over their career. There's value here. But remember, this is a new regime. This is a new situation. The defense needs a lot of overhaul. There's upgrades that need to happen all over the place. And the Vikings are actually sitting in an interesting position should that guy we talked about before exit the NFC North, and it becomes a far more favorable situation to potentially get into the playoffs. So when I'm looking at this team, and I know how smart this GM is, he's a big analytics guy, so I got to give him a little asterisk there. And he's going to look and say, where can I get the most return on my investment? Restructuring or figuring that one out with some of the other people that need to get paid and things that they need to bring in, like a pass rusher that's quite expensive. That might be an area where they could save some money.
Yeah, Kwesi Adolfo-Mensah crunching those numbers there for the Vikings now. Cynthia Freeland always crunching the numbers for us. Thank you very much for your insight